Hello, my name is James Rorba. I am one of the co-founders of Rhombus Studios. Um, as promised or hinted at or referred to in the past week or so on social media and on some of the forums like Explorminate, um, we have talked about showing off some gameplay footage. So this probably won't be as in-depth as the Explorminate footage was. Um, the game was just in a very different state at that point, especially with the code base. Um, but what I want to do today is show um, our new Galaxy scene as it stands right now. Of course, I want to preface and be very clear. This is alpha. This doesn't even have all of the design elements, some more or less finishing touches that it doesn't have just yet. They'll be coming later this week. But we did mention that, of course, we wanted to get it out this weekend. Here it is. It is Monday night, and we haven't posted anything. So, but we did feel that that what we have is in a good enough shape to really show you and stream to you and kind of talk over kind of what LOR, what kind of where LOR is, and kind of where we want it to go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load up a Steam copy of LOR that we use for internal testing. This copy of Lord of Rigel does not have the new Galaxy scene in it. So it'll serve as a kind of a great reference for you to see kind of a good sense of what it looked like before playing it, and then we can then look at the revised Galaxy scene in the Unity editor for a build that is upcoming that we'll hope to have done this weekend. Because if we get it done, then at that point we're moving on to a little bit more cleanup work in our calling management in our build system, and then getting into one of my personally favorite parts of the game, which is going to be tactical, right? Everyone loves blowing ships up, so that's going to be where that's going to go, and it'll be very different than the tactical demo that we released. Those of you that have played that tactical demo, you know, it was turn-based and very much like Master of Orion 2. So we've kind of taken it. We're going to go real time with it. I know that's caused some ruckus about kind of, you know, of course, the old opinion poll about, you know, do I like tactical, whether it's turn based or real time. I'm going to go ahead and get started here a little bit more. We can kind of discuss that conversation a bit more. But of course, we're just going to run a normal standard Galaxy, just run a large Galaxy here. And we'll pick the humans. Always just a simple choice here. But yeah, you know, really, I know there's kind of some mixed debate about turn-based versus having real time, and so apparently the game loaded faster than I would have liked. Well, that's good, but I thought I had a little more time to talk about it. But we'll talk about it here in a little bit later. But here is the old LOR scene. So this should be really familiar to a lot of you, right? So besides this Varani polygon system that we've implemented for a very basic border system, this is pretty much the old Galaxy scene, right? So you've got your basic zoom. We've added in this pretty and fancified kind of Galaxy shader effect. As you zoom in, obviously it clears up so you can see better. It's not 3D. Obviously, your ships are very abstract in nature, right? You simply know that it's yours because it's blue. You move around to different places and explore. Here we are, first turn. We'll just pick shields. So, you know, again, it's a pretty simple system. Tried and true. Obviously, a lot of you are going to be like, oh yeah, it's just like Master of Orion. And you would be right. It's a lot like Master of Orion 2. Because, of course, in a lot of ways, that's where LOR got started. It was about taking LOR, or taking Master of Orion 2 and saying, okay, these things were done right. These are things that we can see as improvements, and building off of a solid foundation, which we felt was a rather novel approach, because a lot of games take design cues from Master of Orion, but they really don't they really don't take the recipe and simply alter it and enhance it. They almost take the recipe and say, well, you know, uh, okay, it had these ingredients, but I'm doing something totally different with them, and then still say, well, yeah, it's like a Master of Orion 2 thing, because of course there's aliens, there's space, and it's turn-based, but we wanted to kind of stick a little closer. A lot of our menu designs are very similar to Master of Orion 2, because we felt that those menu designs worked well. Since we've obviously been working on the game for a long time, we've had more time to think about it. You know, we've really tried to enhance the concept of what LOR is. And I'm actually going to jump out here. So obviously you guys got the point here. Pretty simplistic system. Graphically, it's not incredibly intense. Obviously, it has some pretty stars, pretty nebulas, some nifty shaders. But, you know, by and large, it's not incredibly immersive. And so this is where we wanted to really improve upon this. We're going to exit here. This is where we really wanted to kind of improve upon this, is in our revised Galaxy scene. So this is the Unity editor. For those of you who are not familiar with that, Unity is the game engine that we're using to build Master of Orion. I'm just clicking here to mute the audio, since obviously we don't want it to blare through as I'm talking. And hopefully, you know, we don't want to hurt your ears either, because it may be very loud. But we're going to hit start here. This will probably be a little slower to load, both because it's in the editor, which is never as fast as the builds, and also because it's running off of my Platter hard drive versus the Steam installation that's running off of an SSD. But as I was saying earlier, you know, we've really kind of taken this time to really think about LOR, think about what makes LOR unique, what things what things did Master of Orion 2 in particular do really right? What are some things that some other games in the 4X genre have done right, and try to blend those together? And so really getting down, what it boils down to is, we think that LOR is unique because of lore, and we think it's going to be really unique because of diplomacy, because it's going to have these elder species that you're going to get to interact with, and you're going to get to choose what you want to do with them, whether that's ally with one side of them and kill the other, if it's going to be form your own alliance, or if it's going to be just completely stay out of things, right? It's kind of going to be up to the player. And as well, that doesn't, just because the player chooses, that doesn't mean that the rest of the galaxy is not going to be at war, you know, being deeply involved in this political system that we've created in kind of this lived-in galaxy. And the last thing that we think, the big scheme is, well, a couple other things, I guess. The next thing, big one's be tactical ship combat. And we know for a lot of folks that's been a huge disappointment, just huge, in so many 4X games lately. And I read it on forums, I read it in reviews, you know, and there seems to kind of be this binary setup where it's either fairly deep turn-based strategy, tactical, or it is a fairly abstract real-time system that can get from anywhere from the extremely abstract of just, you built the ships and then they just kind of play themselves out in some automated cinematic fashion, to kind of having a arcadey shooter feel, but again, it doesn't feel as intricate or connected to the style of the gameplay that the strategic layer of the game provides. So we're really focused on this tactical system. We're going to begin work on it next week. How long is it going to take? You know, we don't know. We would like it to take a couple months to get a good prototype out there. But this is a part of the game that we're going to be focused heavily on. There's going to be a lot more of these videos. They're probably going to be shorter than this. They're going to be more like just snippets of like, hey, we have got ships spawning in the map. So here you can see, you know, how planets and star bases and ships scale to each other, and how kind of basic movement's going to work, and how that is going to feel with having ships that have delayed acceleration times and things like that, right? So, and then of course we'll get more intricate as the game progresses. What are things like the commander mode that we're looking for, looking to integrate? What's that going to look like? which we think Commander mode, along with having a 36 ship cap in the scene, is going to really help, right? So you can have an LOR, you can have as big of fleets as you want, as long as your resources can control them with with the command points. But you're only going to have 36 ships per side, so 72 altogether on the field of battle at one time. You'll simply, as ships get blown up, you'll be able to reinforce, or blown up, retreated, but essentially ships become non-controllable for whatever the reason, you'll be able to call in more ships and reinforce. But we think that will be part of it. And of course, a commander mode that will probably be fairly akin to a VAT system, like in the Fallout series, where you're going to be able to hit the pause button. You're going to be able to select ships, scan ships, hand out orders, and then hit play again, and those ships will execute those orders, right? So you're going to kind of get this ability to essentially slow down, think about what you want to do, and kind of have that element of what makes turn-based great, right? Which is having the time to think and to look at what the battle is, what's occurring in the battle, what your forces look like, what the enemy forces look like, and what is the best strategy for you to proceed. So you'll have that. For other players that don't want that, they're going to have a real-time system. They don't have to hit the pause button. In fact, they can accelerate time if they want to, and play it out quicker, or they can auto-resolve. It's completely up to the player. So we've tried to really analyze what are the elements that make turn-based great, what are the elements that make real-time great, what are the elements that make turn-based not so great, and what are the elements, obviously, that make real-time not so great. And we've tried to take the best of them and put those things together and try to minimize as much as possible the negative elements. Will it be perfect? No. Do we think it's a good compromise? Yes. And like all designs for anything in life, it's about design compromises. We think that this will be good. This will allow players a variety of ways to play out the game. And that's really what we're looking for. That's what allows for a diversity of players and to build a community. So we're going to go ahead and jump kind of again, play a little bit more here into LOR. So obviously, this is the main menu. One thing I do want to note that is missing in this, but we'll be adding to it soon, is LOR will remember the last species that you played, and it will have unique backgrounds for each. So this is the human one that we have right now, and as you can see, we have a starbase turning, and hopefully if it's turning here quick enough, we're going to see that there's some human ships docked in there. In fact, that looks to be them right there. So we have some human ships that are docked there, and so that's that scene, but we have a variety of other scenes with all sorts of different stuff going on for the different species to kind of add to that immersion feeling. So we're going to go ahead and once again, we're going to build, or get started on a galaxy. We're going to once again, we'll just play the humans. It's a good reference point, right? So you can see the kind of difference in that experience. We'll go with everything again the same. We're going to load the game up here. You can kind of see what the differences are. So again, I just want to preface, things being shown, are all of them going to work perfectly? No. Are we aware that there are issues? Yes. Will we fix them? Of course. But this is to give you an idea of what kinds of things you can expect from LOR, and give you a sense of kind of this is the design direction that we're taking. These are some features that you can be looking forward to trying out. So I'm sure the first thing that you're going to notice is that the galaxy is not, you're not looking at the galaxy top down, you're looking at a galaxy from an angled perspective. So we have integrated a full 3D camera into the galaxy scene. It will not drop below the galaxy plane, but you can kind of roll it around however you want to do. So again, we have a full 3D camera here. That'll let you kind of get some eye candy if you want. You can kind of zoom in now and really just kind of enjoy the galaxy. I'm sure the other thing you notice too is we've got some logos, we've got name tags, we've got a border line and all that good stuff. So We're going to be adding for each of the empires right now. Of course, LOR doesn't have an artificial intelligence system built into it yet, so there are no computer players. So right now, this galaxy is spawning with one player, the human player. So that being said, we've got the human empire. We're going to do some more work here on these outer border lines to kind of clean them up and make sure they're not quite so big as this, because we only control the Sol star system. We don't control all this other space. There's nothing there to control anyway. But as you can see, we have a nice fading system, and you'll be able to, as you can see, kind of get this 3D perspective on your space. A great thing too is as you have other species, you'll be able to kind of see their borders even from down here. One of the things that you'll notice too is that the triangle is gone. So where did the triangle go? Well, the triangle has been replaced with a setting now that the game will calculate for each fleet what is the most powerful ship in that fleet and place an icon for that ship. So in the case of this fleet that has 2 scout ships and a colony ship, the most powerful ship in the fleet is a scout ship. It's a frigate. So that is the class of vessel that it has posted. So you'll see that that's in full 3D. It's actually using one of our hologram effects. And then, of course, we have lots more tooltips now that will allow you to kind of get data at higher layers of the game. You don't have to dig so deep, because some players like playing games, strategy games at a rather abstract level. They like to play at high level and really kind of play through menus. And other players, like myself, love to get down and dirty, get down to the planet level and see cities get built. Obviously, later in game, more layers of abstraction are good, or more abstraction is good, because it becomes difficult as you get larger, especially if you play our legendary galaxy, which is 1,024 stars. It can get really difficult to try to control each planet. So we've tried to incorporate some elements here. We've had a lot of tooltips that we've added to the game. You can see we have a revenue tooltip here that'll tell you where you're making money, where you're not making money, those sorts of things. A command point system that, again, it's telling you kind of how it's calculating information. And that's one thing that we really thought long and hard with LOR, is that so many 4X games, and not just 4X games, but just strategy games as a whole, have some great complex mechanics that on paper are fantastic. But the problem is a lot of times that the player doesn't get to see what that piece of paper is, right? How is it that the game is calculating this outcome? So in the end, it can lead to a really steep learning curve. It can lead to just some frustration and blind luck sometimes, that, oh, I just figured out this correlation, and that's why, when I built certain ships, they weren't working, or they were costing me too much money, or whatever the case may be. So we built a lot of tooltips into the game. One of the things you'll also be able to look at as well. So we'll go ahead and click on the Sol system here. So you'll see here that we've got our standard LOR view, right? We've got our planet lines, and we've got our planets here. We've got our capital. You're going to get down to our colony view. So one of the things we're going to be adjusting here as well is be prepared to see all new 3D buildings with particle effects, with some animations. Those are sorts of things that we're going to be looking at doing. As we get the scene built, we're down to a couple buildings left before we have a full 3D set of all of our buildings. And actually, I want to go back, speaking of 3D, that's also going to translate into our system view. So system view, you can be expecting to see new skyboxes that I'm sure, as you noticed in our galaxy scene, right, we have this galactic core, and we're kind of far out from it. And then obviously as we get closer, that galactic core gets really bright. So we'll be adjusting skyboxes in each of these scenes to start adapting for that, to kind of, again, to add to that in space feel. Also, because we're building all of our buildings in full 3D, we're also going to be looking at adding stuff like having fleets orbit star systems. So obviously it's not going on in this scene, but that would be an added feature you can be expecting down the road, is having fleets orbit. If you build a jump gate or a star gate for your system, expect to see that in these outer orbits here, so that you can see ships and freighters coming and going out of your system. And then of course too, let's go to our capital, which this is our capital of Sol Prime for the humans, of course. We're going to be adding some nighttime building effects on here. I'm sure you guys have seen them in some of our cinematics, and of course I believe the main menu has the same thing, where it has the cinematic, or not the cinematic, but the effect of having night lights. So we'll be adding that, and of course they'll change with population, so that as you have more population on your planet, these nighttime effects will get brighter and brighter with different, more dense patterns to them. So again, so you'll see we have some systems online, like our ground forces is online. We have some marines and things like that on our planet, but we obviously don't have 4 fleets in orbit. Those things aren't hooked up yet, but we are working towards getting them going with our next build here. So as you can see, we started the game with kind of some tech researched. So one of the things I wanted to show you is that we actually have a build queue system. So it's not fully cleaned up. There's some odd graphical glitches here and there, but I do want to show you kind of what's going on. So one thing that doesn't work right now, just an FYI, is the show all undiscovered technology. So one of the things that will be working is that the player from the get-go can build an entire queue list with all the technology in the game, and then the list will determine obviously what technology you have researched and prioritize those items and build those. But the great thing about this is that obviously as empires expand, right, a lot of players, they typically have a build sequence that they have, right? And so it doesn't change from planet to planet. The only thing it changes is that there's a new planet that this existing queue is being added to. So we have created this queue manager, so you'll be able to go in here. Let's just build. It looks like we have some farming stuff, and we have. Let's just build defense. So we're going to add these items here. We're going to call this defense, and we're going to hit save. So now we have this build queue item called defense, and if we don't like it, we can delete it. But let's keep it, and let's close here. And then what we'll do is we'll select the defense queue, and here we go. We now have this build queue. It's populated. If I go to another world, so we'll confirm that. Here it is. We're going to build a planetary missile defense system in 10 turns. So let's look at some other stuff that we've done with our galaxy scene to kind of improve things. So as you got to see, we've made some colony adjustments. We got some quality of life stuff there. As you can see as well, we've also kind of added some just nice highlighting for these sorts of things. And the one thing you'll see is when we get out of range for fuel, the colors will start changing. We're also this week we're going to add a feature that'll actually red. It'll distinguish between red for out of range on the ring as well versus highlightable here. And another thing that we think will be really kind of cool is as you rotate around here, your starship will also rotate as you move. Again, just adding those little subtle effects that kind of make the galaxy have this more lived-in vibe. So one thing that we also have is this explore button. So let's go ahead and we'll click on explore. So we now have a ship that's going to begin auto-exploring. So we now have hit a turn. Of course, we can choose technology. Let's pick shields. Why not? Oh, and here we go. We've explored a new star system. And looks like not a whole lot of good stuff here. But as you can see, of course, it's in a nebula. Which we have this little faint nebula here. So let's continue to explore. And it looks like the explorer is not working. Oh, there we go again. So one of the things, it's glitching right now, but we will obviously fix as we keep working on this new galaxy system, is that this explore button, the game will choose various star systems, and it'll essentially explore everything that it has fuel range for. So let's look at this Titan system. Looks like it's got some okay planets, but nothing fantastic. So let's keep on. Let's see what else is out here. And again, we're not really hitting the jackpot here on any good planets. So I kind of want to see if we can find a nice planet. So this has some interesting bonuses as an ancient factory and some natives. So let's just, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and try that out. So one of the things that we also want to show off is that we have this new planets menu. So this planets menu is great. So it lets you organize, obviously, stuff by different filters. So you can see kind of what you've explored and what's out there. You can see what is owned, see what's been developed by any species that are out there, what enemy planets are out there, right? If there are vacant planets out there, i.e. planets that just haven't been colonized. One of the things we really like about this is that we are going to be able to send colony ships to systems. So I don't know, let's just pick this system. And as you can see, it's already sending, because we have a fleet with a colony ship, it's already sent it. And here we are, we've colonized the planet, and we are ready to go. For some reason, we don't have a, which is always good, we don't have a colonist here for some reason. Fun little glitch. But it has expanded here though, and then we've got this other fun thing where we've got our border working correctly, but our polygon is stretching out oddly and not kind of complying with our border, which of course, all easily fixed things. Just wanted to give you kind of a glimpse of what the game is looking like. So one of the other things that you'll be able to do as well is with this planet system is if you want to send outposts and colonies, right? So we had an initial fleet, it had a colony ship, so it just sent it. So then you're probably going to ask, what happens if I don't have a colony ship or an outpost ship built? Well, if you click on send, it will add it to a build queue of a planet that it knows isn't starving, right? So the game will not choose a planet for to build a colony ship that would be jeopardized by building it. So if you're starving your colonists, it's not going to try to build a colony ship there. And then it will auto send it, just like it did when we had the colony ship at Sol. It will send it out to whatever planet you want, and it will pop up with a colonization menu piece. And then the other thing that I wanted to show is our new ship designer. So one thing that we're probably going to see is that our frigate is showing up a little funny here because it's set to a hologram, which I'm sure is due to our new system that we've put in that we will, of course, fix. But we can look at maybe a battleship. So one of the things I'm sure you've noticed is that this looks a whole lot different than the old ship designer system, and it certainly does. You're not going crazy. This is an all-new design in a lot of places. So we've added some whole new columns, like the column here on the right, which integrates all of the elements of the basic ship systems that you'll be able to click on these elements, and then you can kind of select what you're wanting to do with those as well. At some point, we'll design this to be a drop-down system with a tooltip that's going to tell you kind of this basic information. And then as well, we've integrated a 3D viewer in this view. So if you click on view, now you have a full 3D ship that you can look at and enjoy. Our 3D artist that built these ships has built these all to scale. So as you can see, they have incredible detail on the inside. And they even have actually, if you look, all the bays are uniquely numbered for the ship. And so we can just hit reset here, but also get some other data about the class of ship that it is, its length, its the number of decks, crew complement, right? Those things that add to lore, add to realism in the game. And so the other thing, of course, we'll be adding in here is of course, you can add weapons and things like that. One of the things that we're going to be looking at adding is the ability to actually save custom weapon designs, right? Because sometimes there are weapon designs that we really like that we'll use time and time and time again, and you'll be able to save. It'll tell you the design, and then you'll be able to copy those designs and save them. It'll probably call it like a Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, etc. And then, of course, this should look very familiar to Mu 2 folks. It has all those wonderful standardized, and really anyone who plays 4X games has all those wonderful standard, things like continuous fire beams and auto fire weapons, armor piercing weapons, all those standard things that you're used to seeing. So those are some of the other things that we've really thought about too, is how can we make even weapon design better. So we're looking at the fact that you'll be able to build different variations of the weapon system, right? So now we've hit reset, and this weapon has reset. But if I, for instance, built a point defense weapon, hit accept, there'll be a laser beam here I can add, but I can add another one. We just don't have the mark system quite on it, but we actually can hit reset, and here we go, everything's been reset, and we can just add a heavy mount here. We don't quite just yet have the mark system in place where it'll actually save those different designs, but as you can see, we kind of have those elements here that we're getting closer to adding. So that'll make those systems easier. Special systems is not going to be particularly complex. It's going to be pretty basic in the sense that you're going to have a variety of special systems. There's nothing that you're going to be able to alter or adjust. You'll simply add them to your your design, and so that's our new ship designer, and I think that kind of gives you a sense of kind of where LOR is at right now. Like I said, we're still in the alpha stage, but we really have, I think, the fundamentals in our code base now to really get the game out the door in a way that's stable. We as a team had a long discussion almost a year ago and kind of thought, do we want to continue with the code base that we have? That sure, we could release a game, it would be quite buggy, and that could really, in the long haul, hurt our ability to further support the product, because obviously no one's going to want to buy a buggy product, right? You kind of get that backlash, and understandably so, from users who are like, I bought this product, I expect it to work and work fairly well, and so we made the decision as a team that we wanted to put the best product that we can put out there, and to really have Lord of Rigel at release be a very functional and robust base, so that we can continue to add expansion packs and add DLC and to add modding tools, so that players can do things that we would love to see. Like, wouldn't it be great if there were a Star Trek or Babylon 5 or some other franchise that were modded into Lord of Rigel, like so many other games have had done, or wouldn't it be great if someone thought of a better, unique set of species, or maybe someone just wanted to take Lord of Rigel and say, you know what, these stats don't work for these species, but I think these would be even better, or I have more species I'd like to add to Lord of Rigel. So we wanted to make sure that really there was a code base there that allowed for it, and that in the end we knew where we were with some work done by some prior folks that were on the project early on, that what was written in code would not translate into essentially we're going to have to either deal with it now before release or deal with it after release. And we weren't sure if we could really keep LOR going after release if we had to completely revise the whole game, right? Because now you have more work because there's more pieces to fix. So we decided to scrap it, go back, rework it. As you can see, it's functional. There's not a lot, there's not errors popping up left and right. There's just some little glitches here and there, finishing touches sort of things. But we're going to continue to work on those. And we're going to continue to try to show off where we're at with Lord of Rigel and really try to keep the audience a little bit more involved. A lot of the stuff, what we were doing before, it just wasn't interesting stuff. A lot of players don't care about, hey, we've invented or we've created this new class for storing data in code, right? That's not something that most gamers are like, yeah, you should really do a YouTube video on that. So We're at a point in the code base now that when we're adding features, we're really adding things like, hey, we have a revised galaxy scene. Wouldn't that be an interesting thing to show off? Or, oh, hey, um, we have got this new tactical scene that's spawning ships, and now it's spawning weapons. Now, ships are blowing each other up, right? Those are the things that we know players are interested in. Why do we know that? Because we're players too. We're gamers. Um, so those are the sorts of things that we're going to start doing more videos on. I really quickly did want to show off that we actually have got some other systems online. So leader management is working. So you're able to hire leaders, and they've kind of got a little lore, of course, a name and a title, and kind of what they are, and a quote from them or about them. Then, of course, showing their stats. So, of course, you can hire them and move them to different colonies and stuff like that, and that's all moving into here. And then as well, a fleet system, which obviously had more fleets. You're going to be able to split those fleets, rally fleets, and you can choose colonies that you want to rally fleets at. So if you had shipyards at 5 different star systems, you can click that rally button here and rally those fleets into one position and build fleets to then send out on patrol. And then the other thing, hang on here, get the camera back here. Here we go. The other thing that we've got going on as well is we have a new info system. So this probably looks similar to some prior 4X games like Master of Orion 2. And of course, this is, again, goes back to our philosophy of some games have done it right in the past, right? So take what you like from those things and expand and build upon them, make them your own. So we have a great event summary, tells you kind of what's going on in the game, as well as some net income charts. And again, like as we showed earlier, we have got all sorts of tool tips that are going to give you great breakdowns as to what is going on and how is it that the player is seeing what they're seeing for stats. As well, if there were other species in the game, of course, it would show them. But right now, we're only spawning just the humans. Tech information with some information, of course, some quotes, and then some information as to what that technology is or what it does. Ranking system that shows kind of population and those sorts of things, right? So you can kind of compare yourself to other species. So that's kind of the stuff that we're looking at right now. The other thing that we're looking at is our empire management system. So of course you've got things like income and tax rate and morale and things like that. But also there's going to be strategic resources that are going to be critical to building late game technology. So that's going to be critical moving forward. But also one of the things that we've added is a really nice slider management system. So it's going to be easy to control different populations. Of course, the none text here is missing, but obviously we have a toxic planet that you cannot farm, since you can't farm on Venus with standard text, so that's why the slider is not here. But one of the things you're able to do as well is to get access deeper into the game by simply clicking on the build queue. You can add items. We'll hit confirm here. Oh, now we've got our guy. And so now here we are, we're back at the build queue, and here's this object being built. So these are the sorts of things that we're going to be looking at. You'll be able to buy items here as well. For some reason, the buy button is missing right now. I'm sure it's some. We've been doing some UI revision work, so I'm sure it's some weird Z-depth issue in this scene. But you'll be able to buy items quickly, and so you can really manage planets from here as well, if that's the style of gameplay that you like. If you don't want to dig down and go through the system view and go through all that kind of stuff, you can kind of run things from here and get deeper if you like, or I should say stay fairly abstract if you like, or you can dig down really deep. So these are kind of the things that we're looking at moving forward with LOR. Really hope that you've kind of enjoyed looking at kind of the process that we've gone through, seen some before and afters, kind of seen some features that we're implementing into the game, and getting some ideas as to kind of where we want to go, both in terms of the game and keeping you, the audience, informed. As always, we really look forward to hearing back from you. whether it is, hey, I really like this, hey, I got some questions about why this versus that. Having those conversations is great, and we love to have constructive conversations with our fan base. Or just anyone interested in 4X. Those constructive conversations are fantastic. It's what led us to create LOR. So we're all about having those conversations. And as always, we're trying to be really responsive. So if you have questions, etc., feedback, always curious to hear it. And especially too, if there's things like, hey, I have some questions about your upcoming tactical system. Some concerns that I have that I'm thinking about, how do you plan to address these things? So it's a really good process. I think in the past we have taken some feedback that we've gotten from the audience and fan base and actually tried to integrate it into the game. So we're definitely open to ideas. I think any good developer is open to a good idea. So thank you so much for your time, and we will talk with you. My hope will be in the next week or two, we'll have another video showing you our tactical, at least spawning some ships and kind of getting you in the mood for tactical. So we will talk with you then. Bye.